Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Teachers, again, my name is Robbie Harvey, and I am coming to you from Central Texas. I, too, was a K through 2 teacher. I taught ELL for in all of those grade levels, and then spent a few years in kindergarten and most of my teaching career in the first grade classroom. And I then went and did technology around the district and did professional development through the technology department, teaching teachers how to integrate technology into their regular everyday instruction. And then have joined the Learning A to Z team as a professional development specialist. And that's how I join you today. And hopefully, I'm going to actually be with you for this series of webinars that we are hosting, and I will be hosting the K through 2 webinars throughout this semester. And so hopefully where we end off today, we will just pick up again during the next session that I believe is scheduled for November the 17th at the same time. And so hopefully with each webinar as we finish, you will be able to have more and more tools that you can use in your classroom immediately. Hopefully there will be things today that you will learn and be able to integrate into your instruction and resources that you can add to your tool belt as a teacher and begin using tomorrow. So today we are focusing on aligning resources at each tier of the instruction, creating custom assignments, progress monitoring and assessing skill needs, and ideas and resources for working with whole and small group instruction. I did speak with Lisa last night, and she was sharing with me some information that she could see just from data collected from how the program is being used. And we're going to do a little bit more focusing in on some things that she would like to make sure that teachers are aware of within the site and the resources that are available to you. So, is everyone that is logged on with me today, are all of your students rostered, and have they begun to use RazKids?
Yes. Well, not all of them.
Not all of the teachers or not all of the students have begun to use
Not
it?
all of them. Well, no, not all the students are registered, but not all of the students are utilizing it.
Okay. And so the teachers that I have registered, are you each in different rooms or are you all there together in one place?
I am located at Pearson Town.
And how many teachers are with you?
It's just me.
Oh, just you. Okay. Anyone else out there? I see lots of names registered. You can just speak into the mic.
I'm all by
I'm at
myself
RN
in a
Harris
little room.
Elementary.
Okay. And are your students rostered and using RazKids?
My students are rostered, but they haven't used anything yet.
Okay. All right. Excellent. And anyone else out there?
I don't they're rostered. I have their reading levels installed, and then later this week, we're going to the computer lab, and our computer person is going to work with me to get us started on RazKids.
Okay, excellent. Well, that is really in line with the information that I was given, and so I think that this will be really helpful for you. So you can see that I'm logged on to the Reading A to Z site. I'd like you to go ahead and stay logged on if you have your computer in front of you. If you will log on to your member account right here at member login, if you'll go ahead and log into your account and stay at Reading A to Z, I'm going to go back into, and you just stay at Reading A to Z because we're going to come back to that, and you're going to use your login and your site to find resources that are applicable to your class. But before we do that, um, I'm going to hop over to RazKids. And you can see this is my virtual classroom, which I can see that you all have created your virtual classroom and have your students rostered. I just want to very quickly show you, this is my daughter Reese, her account, and she's in kindergarten. And if you go into either their reading assignment or their book room, I want you to be aware of the purpose and the need for the students, especially in the kindergarten, first and second grade, if they, it is your choice as the teacher if you want them to listen to the book, to the text, or if you want them to read. You can give your students that instruction. If they are in their independent reading level and you really want them reading the text first, just instruct your students. I want you to always click on the book with the eyeball because I want you to read this book. This is a book you can read. Oftentimes I have teachers that will ask their students to read it first, take the quiz and then they can go back into the text, and reread. You can always check your student sites because these check marks, you can see if they have gone in and listened to the book. And so you can then re-instruct that student if you're wanting them just to read those books and not listen to the books. Of course, there is value in that fluency and listening to books. That is, you as the expert for your students can make that call. But what we for sure want our students doing is that when they complete a book, they need to take that comprehension quiz. That is how data is collected on your student. The only data that is collected for your student when they listen to or read is just a time. It's basically an activity report. It will tell us how much time they've spent reading, but it will not obviously be able to collect any data on their comprehension. Okay, and that's where what we're focusing on today and using our reports to create those custom assignments, collecting that data. That's what Lisa told me that your district really wants you utilizing for your students so that the instruction can be personalized to what your students need. So I'm going to very quickly go in and just show you on your student's account, when they go into that read icon, we now have e-tools available. Just within the last few weeks, as your students are reading, they can push on this arrow at the top. They can record the text and send it to your in-basket. They can choose a pen tool to, like, let's say that you're working on nouns and you want to have the student, as they're reading, to underline. We have a highlighting tool. Again, they can choose their color. If they have the stamp tool that they can use in the text, and they also have these annotated notes. So they can type, even our youngest students that are learning to read, this reminds me of working with my teacher. And that note stays in their book. They also are able to highlight a word and add it to their word journal. And they can fill out this word journal card as much or as little as they want, and they can save. You can see here they can pull down the parts of speech and they can save the word. And the word journal grows, so we're building that vocabulary throughout their reading. Okay, it doesn't just say for one book. The word journal grows and grows and grows the more they use. All right, so these are our new e-tools. That was a very quick show, and you can see that I've already highlighted things. I've already read this book, and any time I use the tools, what I've done in this particular book stays in the book. Okay, within my account. Of course, if I'm logged in as a different student, their book would be clean. This is specific to each student. And then as they get to the quiz, your students will take the comprehension. You always want to instruct them to take the comprehension quiz. And in our quizzes, especially for our K through 2 children, for our kindergarten children that are not reading yet, or even first grade children that are not reading yet, the book, they obviously can listen to the book and still be taking comprehension quizzes because
what is the main idea of the story?
Our quizzes can be
The
read to
children
them.
eat snacks at school.
So even our pre-literate children
The
can
teacher reads
can
a
use
story.
RAS.
The children do many things at school.
So you can see that, even before our children are reading, our pre-literate children can listen to books and take the comprehension quizzes. You can go ahead and collect data on comprehension before the students are even able to read. If they don't know the answer to the question, we always encourage our students to go back into the text and find those answers. And you will see that any time they used the tools, they are still in the book. And if they were to find the answer to that question, you could teach them, if it's the reading strategy that you use, they could use that highlighting tool and highlight the answer to that question. And then they quickly click back to the quiz and mark that answer, okay, and continue through the quizzes. So it's always good to, sit with your students in small groups or project your screen if you have that ability in your classrooms, and teach your students what the expectations are in your classroom when they're using RAS. If that expectation is to read it, if it's to listen to it, but always to take that quiz and how to use the tools and how you would like them to use those tools when they're in the read version. Okay. And then just as soon as your students and you can see this is when the students are in their assignment, they're self-pacing. My daughter is on a level C, and she is self-pacing to a level D. And the green check marks means that she has completed that reading, and the green check mark under the quiz means she got 100% accuracy. If the check mark is gray, we'll see. This book this is the bookmark, so she began listening to this book, but she didn't finish it. I don't see any here. So if there was a check mark here and it was a grayish purple, that would mean that her accuracy rate was below 80%. And that would just indicate to either you or her that maybe she should go retake that quiz. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and log out. Are there any questions about the student site before I leave RAS Kids and we get into how what the students are doing in reading and taking those quizzes can focus your instruction, how that data can be used for your instruction? Teachers, anyone? Anyone? Okay, all right, we will move right along. So I'm going to log out and log into my teacher site. And I should get right back to where you are. Okay, so you are in Reading A to Z, and you can also look at this information if you click on Kids A to Z. But since you are at Reading A to Z, it's probably going to switch us over to Kids A to Z. If you'll follow along with me, and if you will click on Reports. So I went under Manage Students right here in the middle and click on Reports. Now, obviously, if your students have not begun to read and take quizzes, you will not have data in this area. But I just wanted you to follow along with me so that you can remember where to find this information. So now you can see, just as I said, we were in the Reading A to Z tab, and when we naturally went to Reports, it popped us over to Kids A to Z, which the site naturally does for you, which is fine. Okay, so now that we're in our reports, I'm going to click the RAS Kids tab, if you want to go ahead and do that. And then I am going to go under Skill Report. So you can see right here under RAS Kids, we have activity reports, assessments, and skill reports. Okay, and your data, we always want to focus our instruction on data that is current for our students. And so you will leave this where the report is showing last 7 days once your students are reading and taking those quizzes. Because my virtual classroom is used mainly for training purposes, I am going to go back, actually, because so many of my students in my virtual classroom have accounts in their own teachers' classrooms now, and we've been in school for more than if we're counting the weekends, we've been in school for more than 90 days. I'm going to go ahead and go last year just so we have a good idea of data. But this report would look very similar for you in your own classroom if yours even just said the last 7 days, like I said, because your students are going to be actively reading on a daily basis. So you can see that when you pull up these skill reports with just the glance of an eye, very quickly I can see comprehension skills that my students are doing well. We're doing well as a group in sequencing events, and we're not doing well in problem and solution. So as a teacher, I need to see what's going on with problem and solution. So under any of these comprehension skills, all of these are hot links. You just click on it, and you can see that this is my group of students that is struggling with problem and solution. So in your class, obviously for training purposes, I have students in all the different reading levels, but in your class, you would have your group of students, even if they're different reading levels, you would immediately have a guided reading group that needed to focus on the comprehension skill of problem and solution. Okay, so does anyone have any data? Anyone that signed on with me today? No? Yes?
No.
Okay. I'm going to take that as a no since I'm not hearing. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can see that the beautiful thing with RAS Kids, one of the beautiful things with RAS Kids, is that since you have your students rostered with just a very quick lesson and giving your students their login, this data is instantly being collected, okay? So you don't even have to wait 7 days to see. I mean, even after the first comprehension quiz that your students are taking, there's already data being collected. And so how can I focus how can I focus my instruction? So in going to now, as a teacher, I would know these students. I can call your Grant, Jane, Kaylee, Reese, and Sarah. And I'm going to click right here at the top, back to Reading A to Z. And I'm going to type in the search box, problem and solution. Okay, this is just one way to find activities that are you can see 180 results came up for resources that we have available for problem and solution. Now, clearly, my students, I don't need resources that are on these reading levels. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of shoot the middle since you're K through 2 teachers. And I'm going to click a level D. And so now I have 4 resources for if I was going to instruct my students, that group of students at a level D. Of course, you could break that down into, 3 students and 3 of them being instructed. You as the expert in your class, no. I'm just giving you examples. And, oh, look, here, as I look at my resources, we are working on folk tales, and this folktale Stone Soup would tie in what I'm doing and working on problem and solution. So if I go to this book, this is called the landing page of our books, and you can see that there is lots of information on our landing pages. And if I look, I can see that these are the strategies that are the objectives that are being worked on, and our think and discuss and collaborate cards can be used to further discussion or even writing prompts. And our guided reading lesson here then will have a focus on problem and solution. Okay? And so this is a very, very detailed plan. And of course, as an expert teacher, you do not have to use this word for word, but we love to give you the resources that you need just to support the instruction that you're doing. And you could use pieces and parts of that lesson, or of course use the whole thing. All right, so that is one way that you could find resources for those students. I'm going to go back and show you then how to assign this book to those students, and where they would read that book, maybe take the comprehension quiz for Stone Soup, and knowing that it has a problem and solution question, and then you could support them with this lesson. I'm going to show you how to make that assignment, and then we're going to come back to reading A to Z, and I'm going to show you other ways to find resources for specific skills or tiered instruction. Okay, so I'm just going to give me 1 second. I hear people either disconnecting, or is everyone, I hope everyone's still connected. I'm hearing somebody's having trouble with their connection. I'm getting that on my end. Okay, so now if I'm here at Reading A to Z, on Reading A to Z site, again, I see that this book is a level D. So I can go into Manage Students, an assignment, and I want to create a custom assignment. And I'm going to call this assignment Problem and Solution. Of course, you could name it anything you choose. You could, if those students happen to be, your cats reading group, or whatever you would like to call them, that is your choice, what you want to name the assignment. And then of course you're going to pick those students that you're going to give that assignment to. I am not, for training purposes, because I have students that are reading on I'm not particularly picking the students that came up that were having those difficulties on the report. Obviously you would pick your specific students, or that where the data was collected and it was showing that they were having trouble with problem and solution. Okay, so I have chosen the students that are struggling in this comprehension area, and that book was a level D, and it was Stone Soup, so it's an S. It's going to be, there it is. And I would like my students to listen to that book. So here is the teacher. I'm making the choice whether I want these students to listen or read that book. Of course, you're going to make that call based on your students. I'm going to have them listen to the book, take the comprehension quiz, then we're going to read it together in my guided reading group, and then I'm going to instruct them. That's why I'm choosing to listen. Of course, you as the expert for your students, would make that call. Okay, but you have that option. And so anytime you've assigned your students an assignment, they don't have the choice. They have to do what you've given them. So now that assignment has been made. Very quickly, I'm going to go back and I want to show you that now I assigned that to Luke. Where's Luke? Where'd you go, Luke? I know. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay. And oh no, Luke has a password. Let me see. If I assigned, I think I assigned it to Jane as well. When she goes in, oh my goodness, I don't remember who I assigned it to. I'm so sorry. Does anyone remember who I clicked on? Goodness gracious. I do too many webinars and I click on different students and I wasn't paying all that attention. Well, when your student, let me just show you. When your student comes into RazKids, into their planet, when they click on reading assignment, like this student, you can see it has all of their books where they are leveled in a level Q and self-pacing to R. None of these books will show up when you've given that student an assignment, just the book that you've assigned, and it will only have the one icon. It'll have, since I assigned it as a listen to, it will just have that icon. So your students will have no other option but to read or listen to the book that you assign them. They cannot make any other choices until they've completed that assignment that you've given them. I'm sorry for not paying more attention to, I thought I had picked my Jane Doe as the reading assignment, and clearly I did not. So I was not paying good enough attention to that, and I apologize. But that is a beautiful thing about assigning your students a custom assignment, especially when you see from their data that they are struggling with a specific comprehension skill, because it focuses what they're doing when they come into RAS on the area that you are seeing them struggle with. And then you, when you are pulling them into your small groups, have the book that they have read on RAS. They're not having this large choice, to pick from if you've given them an assignment. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. So you can see how quickly I was able to find that resource, assign it to my students, and now when they come in the next morning, you'll know what they're reading. So teachers, if you will take, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. If you will go into I know you don't have data yet, but you know your students, okay? So if you will go into Reading A to Z and use the search box this time. We're going to use other ways to find resources in a minute, but use the search box on a skill that you would like to focus on with a group of your students. Then find the reading level. So if it's sequencing events, if that's a comprehension skill that your students are struggling with, go ahead, type in any of those here. Go ahead and search for those resources, and then filter those resources by the reading level that is applicable to those students that you're thinking of. Find a resource from that group, and then go ahead and assign a couple of your students a book so that when you teach them how to use RAS Kids, hopefully tomorrow, they will have that book to read that you specifically want them to work on. Okay, so I'm going to be quiet and let you work. If you need me, just talk and I will be happy to help you, okay? Okay, was everyone able to find a resource?
Yes.
I heard one yes. Anyone else?
Yes.
Okay, great. Excellent. And did I give you enough time to then assign that resource to your students? And were you able to do that, or do you need help? Do you need me to show you how to do that again?
Can you do it one more time?
Absolutely. Okay. So if you, let's just say that your resource is pulled up here on the screen, you're going to make a note, of what that resource is. So if it's a book, you're looking for a book that you can assign a student, correct? So you have that book and you know what level it is. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you're just going to come right here to Manage Students, Assignment, create a custom assignment, name that assignment. I'm going to let you do that. Click on the students that you would like to receive that book in their RasKit account tomorrow when they open it. And you can see that your students' levels are here. And then click Continue to Next Step. It won't let me go on because I didn't do that. And then you'll see, and then you can find the book. Did you find the book?
Yes.
Okay, great. Choose whether they are going to listen or read it, and then save it. And the assignment will be in there. Were you able to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Excellent. So that was a way that we can find a resource for students based on the data that we're seeing from the reports. Oftentimes, we want to continue to use that data, but this is also a good resource, okay? You can see that each of these tabs are a hot link, okay? So I found this by I'm on Reading A to Z, and under Resources, I went all the way to the bottom drawer. I consider the Resources tab like a filing cabinet, and each of these tabs are like a drawer in my filing cabinet, and then these are like the folders in that drawer. So I came all the way down to Instructional Uses, and then right here, the very first thing in Instructional Uses, my first folder is Intervention and Response to Intervention. Okay, if you want to click on that with me, and that will bring me to this page. So you can see that oftentimes, even tomorrow, before your students start using RasKids, as you're pulling your students into their small group instruction, you can see that we have our resources broken down into the tiered instruction. So for your small groups, we have all of these resources. And then even for one-on-one instruction, we have tutoring and mentor packs. I'm going to go ahead and start at the top with Tier 3 instruction. And let's look at these tutoring and mentor packs. As a teacher, of course, you can use pieces and parts of this. You can use the entire pack. This is also so detailed that you could print it and give it to a teaching assistant, a substitute, a volunteer, however, you see fit. It is that detailed, and of course, as the expert, you could pick and choose. So I'm going to go to the comprehension pack, but kindergarten teachers, if you are looking on, you can see that if you want to look at the phonics packs, or first grade teachers, if you want to look at our high frequency word packs, please feel free to do that as you're logged in. I'm going to show you as a whole group our comprehension packs. Okay, we have multi-session packs that are available from AA, which is of course our grade K, through E, all right, which is a Fontes and Pinnell level E and our level E, and a first grade level. Okay, and these are, like I said, multi-session packs, so it's going to I'm going to go into farm animals, which is for main idea and details. And it's associated with our book, Farm Animals, which you can see there. So you could go in and assign a group of students this book, and then you would have your lesson to use with the students. Okay, you can preview the book and book walk. And I'm going to come back to this lesson in just one second. I want to make sure that you know that each of our books, when you come to our book, each of our books is available in a projectable. So if you are using these books with either a small group or even a whole group lesson, you do not need a smart board, just a clean white wall or pale wall. And all of these tools, very similar to the tools that I showed you in the books when your students are reading in Raz Kids, are available here. We also, with our projectables, have this framing tool. So I love this. So for just having our students predict, you could have this up on the wall just like this and have your students, what book, what do you think we're going to be reading about today? And you can grow this window, and after they make one guess, and you can continue to grow the window and have them continue to make predictions about the book. Okay, I love that framing tool. And you can see that goes through the entire book. Okay, so back to our lesson of our main idea lesson. You would be able to take that book walk through the projectable, introduce the vocabulary, and we have picture cards, and you can see that the lesson is a 5-day lesson. And here are those cards that are mentioned in the lesson, and the blank cards and the picture cards. So, and then here is the game that goes along with this lesson. So everything you would need to teach, here's the graphic organizer, was all available just in the push of a button. So you can see how if you needed to focus on one-on-one instruction and how detailed this lesson is, that it would be great for someone with, even a volunteer could really focus instruction for your student, or how you could use pieces and parts of this lesson, not just for one-on-one instruction, but whole group instruction, or if you're pulling a student for that support. Okay. And again, that was in our multi-lesson comprehension packs. There are single session comprehension packs through the entire rainbow scale. So specifically, even if you have, and as a second grade teacher, if you have a student reading at the top, very high, like let's say they're already reading an R, that's available too. So we're not talking about just intervention where students are struggling, also to differentiate for all of our students. Okay, even though you're K2. And again, it'll show you what book it's available. You could assign that book to that student and have them read it while they're in Raz Kids and then come to you for the lesson. Or again, you can project that and do a whole group lesson. All right. So again, I'm going to go back. Did somebody go into some of the other packs that we have under the tutoring and mentor packs?
I started looking at the alphabets a little bit.
Okay. Great. So, and then you can see that these, obviously have the book attached to them as well. And these books are not in the leveled reader. And since you pulled that up, I'd like to go ahead and show you. These books are not in our leveled reader. And I want to make sure that when you have rostered your students, I'm going to go into the roster and show you. If you go into Raz Kids, and under Book Room, you can see that it says Customize. Teachers, follow with me if you have not done this in your roster yet, okay? So when you're in your roster, you can see down here that these are what comes up on your students' site. It says more books, okay? And so right here, I have the alphabet books open for my students. So that is a book, any of those books that you were just looking at for those alphabet packs would be available for your students to read while they're in Raz Kids if you have this checked, that the alphabet books are available to them. Okay. I always encourage teachers to go ahead and open all of these books for their students. You know, more books, the better. We want our kiddos reading. Did you have all of those checked when you went in?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. And any changes you make in under custom, I typically have my students at their independent reading level. So let's say that my students' independent reading level is D or H or anywhere in between. I have it set wherever I have their independent reading level and that they can go in 2 levels. I have it where they can go in 2 levels below their reading level and none above. Obviously, I don't want them frustrated. So I have them at their independent reading level, and then 2 levels below is what the books that I allow them to read. And then you always want to save and close anytime you've done anything to customize your roster. So I just wanted to go back into that and make sure, since you had found that alphabet pack, that those books were available for your students to read when they're in Raz Kids. Okay, you can see those books here. Okay, great. All right, so any questions?
Yes, you said about the customizing of the levels, the 2 below. Do you put one for the above side?
I don't. I mentioned that very quickly. I'm sorry, I probably rushed through that. I don't, because Raz Kids is set for most of the time that the students are reading in Raz Kids, they are doing independent reading. And since you set your students' level at their independent reading level, I don't want my student, and this is a personal preference. You, of course, know your students better than I do. So I'm just giving you my suggestion. So when my students are on Raz Kids, I don't want them in a reading level above their independent reading level and getting frustrated or reading things incorrectly. Okay, so I want this to be a time to encourage their reading where they're at their just right level and they're taking quizzes that are at their just right level. And so I always keep the 0 for above their reading level. I don't allow my students to go above their independent reading level. Now you see on the reading assignment, each time I've gone into that and they're in that self-paced level, it's moving them. The more they read in that level, it will naturally take them to the next level if they've completed all of the books and all of the quizzes in that level. And it'll let you know that your student, they'll take it's called a benchmark book. And so you'll know if they're really ready for that next level.
Thank you. I didn't understand the part that it was only going to show them the books at their level. When I looked at that, I thought it was going to open all the levels to
No,
them.
No. So that is why it's so important when you're rostering your students, that you have, completed a running record, their reading level, you've used the correlation chart. What leveling system do you use in Durham?
We use the
Fontes and Pinnell, that's what I thought. And so you have a copy under, when you logged on today, under in your go-to training control panel, do you see the materials tab?
Yeah, there's that correlation chart.
Yes, and it's right here. If for some reason you're to print that and you lose it, let me just show you where it is. You will have it in your site under Teacher's Corner. And right here in the middle, the very first tab in the middle is your leveled correlation chart, okay? So that's the same, this is the same as the printout that you have available in our materials today. And you can see those Fontes and Pinnell levels are here, and then here is our rainbow scale for reading A to Z. And so if you have, if your student has, let's say, a Fontes and Pinnell level C, they are at our level C as well. And we would always put in their independent reading level. Now, obviously, when you're doing your instruction, you might be, using a book above that level because that's their instructional level. And, you're adding more academic vocabulary and you're there to support them and all of that. But we typically say, when they are in RAS Kids, they are doing that independently on the computer. And so we want to make sure that they're staying in that independent level. Does that make
Where
sense?
did you find that list again?
Under Teacher Corner, right here on the right-hand side,
Okay.
and Level Correlation Chart, right in the middle. You see it?
No, I don't have all that stuff.
And you're logged in with your account?
Yeah, underneath Teacher Corner, all I have is technology or helpful tools.
Are you sure you're in reading A to Z? Because I was accidentally in kids and it didn't work.
I think you might be.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I was under the right thing.
You were over here in Kids A to Z. Yeah, okay. Are you have it now?
I do, thank you.
Okay, good. I was like, "Ooh, you kind of made my heart skip a beat for a second." I was like, okay, but I figured out really quickly you were in Kids A to Z. So there you go. All right, so there's the correlation chart, teachers. So then I want to go ahead and go back into our resources. And I showed you that in instructional uses, under our response to intervention, you can see many, many of our resources, okay? You can see our comprehension skill packs. We went into those tutoring and mentor packs. And again, we have these other packs here, okay? So that is always a good resource for you to use when you are really trying to focus on that small group or one-to-one instruction, okay, for intervention. But when we go back into our resources, in this first drawer, I also, because you are K through 2 teachers, here are all of the leveled books, okay? We're just going to start very basic because this is a series of webinars that we're doing, and so we don't have to see everything that's available in Reading A to Z in just one day, which is so lovely because there's too many resources here to share in 1 hour. So I'm very thankful that this is a series. So in our leveled books, I just want to show you some things that are available in every leveled book, okay? First of all, you can filter. You don't need to look at over almost 1,600 books. That's too much. You don't have time to look at 1,600 books. So of course, you can, and let's say that you're really working on adding more informational text into your classroom, okay? And I am instructing my class at a level E, and now I have 27 books to look at. That's doable. And now as, let's say, a first grade teacher, I'm going through and I'm now looking for maybe topics that are applicable to what we're doing. And great, it's October. Let's carve a pumpkin. Let's do that. Okay, so I'm just going to use this as an example. And again, we are at our landing page. And this was not in my notes to cover today, but I just feel like it's such a disservice if I was not to tell you this. Our filing cabinet here can be set up by, it's totally teacher preference. You can make new files, new folders. You can see that I have some done by 6 weeks, some done by content area down here, by theme. This is, however, whatever makes sense to you and how you organize your classroom, you can set up files, okay? And inside those file folders, you can create subfolders. So let's just say that you created one for October, and within October, you even did comprehension skills within that. However, it makes sense to you in creating your folders and how you organize your classroom. I encourage you to just do that in your free time and get a file cabinet set up, because when you find a resource that you like, you can add it to that filing cabinet. So I don't need to remember next year when I'm using Reading A to Z, oh, I really loved that book in October that I found and the lesson was so great, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to remember that it was level E and that it was called Let's Carve Pumpkins. All you have to do is click on this green, anywhere you see that green file folder, and it'll come up Add to Filing Cabinet, and I'm going to put it in that I want to use that in the third 6 weeks and add. Oh, I think it's the second. I don't even know if you use 6 weeks. Here we use 6 weeks grading periods. So however it is that you want to use that filing cabinet, that would be how you keep up with those resources so that you can use them. Or even if you find something tonight and you want to use it in March, you don't have to remember in March that where it was. Just use that filing cabinet and that resource will be there. Okay, so now I can go in to my filing cabinet and click on the third 6 weeks. And then that resource would be there. Okay. So in all of our leveled books, that was just a side note, sorry, but I wanted to show you as you're finding these resources how to keep track of them. In every single one of our leveled books have a guided reading lesson with it. I've shown you that earlier. It immediately, with a glance, shows you the high frequency words that it will be focusing on, and it shows you the story words. Okay. And then it goes on to show you the different activities that we have available based on objectives. Okay. As kindergarten, first and second grade teachers, I cannot not show you this because I think this is just such a great resource. We have these wordless books available for many of our books. And I'm going to show it as the projectable. And I just think the ways to use this with your students, for our primary students, is just endless. Oh, I really need this to load. Why is it not loading? Let me try again. Let me go ahead and project the book, and then I'll go in. That loaded just fine. Okay, so here's our book. You can see again that the projectable tools are there. So you saw the book, the illustrations, and the text. Okay, and now I'm going to try this. Oh, it is just stuck. Why is it stuck? Darn. I wonder if okay, here it is in the printable version. I prefer the projected version, for my students, but you could use this. You could print this in your class and put it in one of your stations. And you can see that the book is exactly the same as it was when they first read it, but now it's written by who? And your students can write their name on the title page and at the back of the book when we're giving our acknowledgments. And the illustrations are there and the text box is empty. So your students could use this as a retelling, making up a completely new story. I just love the connections that could be made here with these wordless books. So I wanted to share that with you. And you can imagine with our students at all different levels how they could use this resource. And again, it's available in the projectable normally. I'm sorry that technology is not being my friend at the moment and it wouldn't show you that, but you would have those projectable tools available and you could even start the book, do a shared writing experience with your students and you could use the pen tool or you could even use a text box and type with the projectable. Okay. So we are at about 7 minutes until we're done today. Are there any questions? Because I have just one more thing to show you, and I just want to make sure, I don't want to leave that for the very end because I want to make sure that I answer any questions that are out there.
I have a question.
Okay, good. I see a couple of hands raised. Brittany, I'll call on you.
How do you, when you want to print off the book, is there an easier way to print it and so you don't have to cut the pages every time?
Okay, so did you see, okay, there's the different versions, the single-sided and the double-sided, and which one have you been using?
Well, in the past, I used to just have a binder of master copies, so they might be older.
Okay.
But I've never used it on the computer yet, so that's what I was trying to figure out.
Okay, and just there is, let me look. I'm looking under our teacher resources. There is a video that literally shows you how to put the books together. And why is it not coming up for me? Video library.
Today's teachers
stop.
are being asked to do more than ever before.
I wasn't expecting it to start. You know what, Brittany, was that you that's asked the question?
Yes.
Let me think real quick. I'm having just a total block on where that is. But I promise, on here, there is a little video that you can even send and you can download it, I believe, in a PDF, and you can even send it home with a parent. And, you can run the copies and they can put the books together, or if you have that kind of help in your room. But there is a video it shows you how to put those books together so easily. Okay, let me think on that. I'm going to come back to you, Brittany. I'm sorry. I'm just totally having a brain block. Okay, Bonnie.
How do the students actually log on?
Okay, so I didn't realize that you didn't know that, because I knew that everyone had rostered their students. Okay, so once you have rostered your students, and again, once I click roster, it's gonna move me immediately back to this Kids A to Z tab. Okay, as soon as
you have a roster, they just haven't. I just don't know how to log them in yet.
Okay, so now that they're rostered, once that's done, Docs for Home is very important. Okay, so click on that and click on Personalized Student Login Cards. Do that with me. Have you printed these?
Nope.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I suggest you print a couple of copies. This will tell your students the URL that they will go to if they're on a computer. If they're on a device, these are the apps that, of course, you would have downloaded on your devices if they're using the device in the classroom, or if they're using them on their parents' smartphones or whatever. And this gives them the teacher username, and then it has their symbol. If you have a password on your students, that password will show up on this student login card as well. Okay, so all they have to do is type in www.kidsa-z.com, and it'll ask them for their teacher, and they type that in and it will come up. And on my account, like for instance, I don't know if you noticed when I was logging on, underneath my name it said, or choose a different teacher. So like for my personal children, obviously my account comes up, but then they go in to click a different teacher, and their classroom teacher, that they have at school, her account is there. So then they can just click on her account, and then they find their name and their teacher's account. So for parents that might have a kindergarten child and a second grade child, they can have multiple teachers on their, computer, and they'll save after they found that teacher's account. And so it's really easy for the students to go find their teacher. Okay, so I just suggest you print this, keep one for yourself, keep one for the student. They can maybe put it in their pencil box or somewhere so that they know how to log in. And then the other doc that is very important is our letter to parents. And we have that obviously in multiple different languages, and it populates for each student. I don't know if I have so many things in my downloads, it's not opening. You can see everything's gotten, it's not letting me. Let me try to clear that and try again. So hopefully you're doing this with me, and that letter will populate. You can see that it populates for each student, and it tells the parents how to log on then at home as well. And of course can show you how your students can log on. Is it coming up for you? I'm sorry that my computer is not allowing that letter to come up. Did that come up, teachers?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, and then while we're here, go ahead and click on email reports, and go ahead and have a report sent to you on a weekly basis. And when you come into school every Monday morning,
ever before. That's why I learned.
Somebody got on a video. And so go ahead and have those reports emailed to you every Monday morning, and you can just get a quick glance of how your students' activity. Now, you will not see in this email report those skill reports that we went in today, but this will tell you how many minutes, hours your students have been logged on reading. Okay, and that's just a great report to start your Monday and kind of be able to encourage those students that maybe need to read more, or give those kiddos a high five that have been reading. Okay. All right, Miss Courtney. Brittany,
You indicated
did I answer you? I'm sorry.
you indicated that 2 teachers can share a student. Is that right?
Oh, no. Did I indicate that? No, I was saying, I'm sorry. I was saying,
Students clicking on different teachers.
okay, so I was mentioning like my personal children. I have 4 children, and
Okay.
this is, so my Robbie Harvey's 4 children are Grant, Ryan, Clark, and Reese. All of them have accounts in their teachers' classrooms. So I'm not sharing teachers. They're just in my classroom for training purposes. So they read in, over the summer in Raz Kids in my account. But you can see here, this is my kindergarten daughter's classroom. So this is her kindergarten teacher, Amber Edwards.
Okay. I'm wondering because I'm an ESL teacher, and it would be nice for me to have access to see what the students are doing on reading A to Z, even though I'm not the one making the assignments necessarily.
Absolutely. And absolutely. And I encourage teachers every day when I'm doing professional development. So any of your specialists, we encourage that in their general ed teacher would have them rostered in their class. But I would hope that their general ed teacher would give you their log-on information so that any of the students that you are providing resource or any special services to, that you would be able to go in and check those reports, and that would help drive your instruction when you have that student. Even ELL teachers, any specialists that are seeing that student, I would just encourage the general ed teachers to share their log-on information so that you can look at that student's data. But you want the data collected in one place, not to have different accounts in different classes.
Right. So how do I do that?
So you would just have to ask that teacher for her login information. So right here, when you go in, you would just need her username and her password.
Okay, but I wouldn't be able to collate everyone from multiple classes together.
No, you would not, unless they were. So you would have to, get each student's information, unless you were to, roster your students in a separate. And then you could have, if that works best for you, and then when your student is in their general ed classroom, they would log in under you instead of their general ed teacher, and that would be a school decision.
Okay, thank you.
That's done all the time as well. So it's whatever works best for you and and obviously the students.
Okay.
Okay. Just the main thing is to have your students reading under one login. You want all of their data to be collected in one place, obviously.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Brittany, do you have another question, or is the hand just raised from the other one?
Oh, that's from before, I think.
Okay. All right, teachers. Well, we are just past our time. Be sure and notice in the materials, under materials, you have a certificate that you can print off. I believe you're supposed to be keeping up with these hours. So you have a certificate of participation that you can print off that's been signed by our Learning A to Z director. Okay?
Where's that at?
Under materials, and it says certificate of participation. And then there's a new correlation chart, and then the Raz Kids Getting Started PDF. There's 3 materials there. Did everyone find that?
Real quick?
No.
Okay, so
Is it under reading A to Z?
No. On your go-to training control panel.
Oh. Since I'm not registered, I probably don't have that, right?
No, but ask somebody that registered to print it for you if you don't mind. Can somebody do that for her?
I know someone who's also on the call. I'll get her.
Okay, great.
I'm confused of where you mean that.
You're confused as to where? I'm sorry.
I don't know where the certificate is.
Okay, so when you first signed on, there was a little gray box from GoToMeeting that says Control Panel. It should still be up on your screen because we're connected. And you'll see like attendees in a blue box, and you can see everyone who's attending. You can see my name as the organizer, and you can see Amy and Ashley, Bonnie, Brittany, Cheryl. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, but I don't see where you'd print it
Okay.
off.
So then underneath that, it should say materials, and there's a little arrow, and click on that arrow, and you'll see links to the materials that are available.
Oh, okay, I see it now.
Now you got it? Okay. So
Yep.
so when we get done, you can just click on that and print if you're on a computer that can print.
Perfect.
Okay, great. All right, teachers. Well, I will see you again on November the 17th. Until then, happy reading. I hope your students are reading and taking those quizzes, and data is being collected, and we will pick up where we ended today. And be sure and just keep a log of any questions you have for me, and we will just continue this training. And I hope that you've found ways to find resources that can help support your instruction. Any
Thank
final
you.
questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, teachers. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheryl, I'm still here. I see your hand got raised. I'm sorry I missed you. Is there something I can help you?
Could you email me where you would find that video of the booklets being printed?
Yes. Yes, let me write down your email. And you know what? I will send it to Lisa to send out to all of you. What is your personal email? And I'll email it to you.
It's my first name, Brittany,
Okay.
period,
Okay.
Truax, Truax,
Okay, I see that.
at DPS
Okay.
NC.net.
Awesome. Okay, Brittany, I will get that to you, okay?
All right. Thank you so much for everything.
It was BRITTANY period, right? And then your last name.
Correct.
Okay, all right, I got it. I will.
All right.
I have myself a note, and I'm sure I will find it in about 2 seconds as soon as I log off and my brain can think again.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Great. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.